what we're fighting for here. That's what we want you to be a part of. And I'll be candid, out of the group here, I would have loved to have answered these questions for you over the last several years. We've had open forums, we've advertised and had announcements in the La Follette Press. We've openly and honestly communicated and had fundraisers. We've raised $500,000 for the largest publicly raised initiative to ever take place in the town of Caryville. Ma'am, if you got something to say, I'll be glad to give you the floor.
I haven't heard anyone in this room say that they don't
Mr. Lawson,
want a park.
I didn't interrupt you. If you don't mind, I'll finish.
Well, you
I'll
asked for
share.
questions.
No, sir. I was.
Okay, I'll wait.
This young lady was interrupting me, and it was very hard to concentrate.
Well, you know how I feel about it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I do. So we started building this initiative. We've advertised it and the plans over the course of the last several years. We even had a community meeting here that we advertised in the La Follette Press for several weeks where people could come out and ask these kind of questions. And in our initial plans and the plans that have remained our key plans over the last several years, we've shared information about that. And that includes the playground that you see that thankfully today they're starting construction on. And God willing and the creek don't rise, we'll have it ready in May sometime. I'm really hoping by May 1st if we're able to overcome all the last second hurdles that happen with construction. So the big point of contention, I understand nobody here is against the playground, right? I think you'd be crazy to be. The big point of contention is parking. Now, as I see it as a community member, there's two ways forward. The first way is what we've proposed and what nobody until tonight has raised an issue with over the last 2.5 years. And that is making the road one way. Now, I was stopped by people in the parking lot, and people came up to me and said, "Brandon, honey, I love you, but I don't want to close that road down." And I said, "Who told you we were closing this road down?" Well, that's what I was told. That's just blatantly not true. So if somebody has told you and got you to come here by misleading you and letting you think that we wanted to close that road, you were lied to. Okay? So what we have proposed is making that road a one-way road. And we proposed that for a couple of different reasons. That road would essentially go from Shoney's. Mayor, can you do something, sir?
Please let him have the floor, please. Okay? Can everybody just let him talk, please?
Okay, I
Thank
think
you.
he's gone on long enough.
Now, he's got the floor, please. Thank
The
you.
other guy went just as long, did he not?
So anyway, we've wanted to always make this road from Shoney's to the top of the hill. And we've gone and we've driven it. My team members that you see here, pretty much every young person in the room just about is on the Caryville Cares team. In fact, our average age is 30. We're a group of young people in this community that are trying to do good. None of us get any paychecks. In fact, if we host a fundraiser that we go to support the community that we use, we all buy our own tickets to the fundraisers that we're volunteering at. That's how much we care about this mission and how much we want to see this community thrive. So this has always been a part of the plan. And the reason this has been part of the plan is for two primary reasons. One is safety. I've heard some people say across the street, our big concern there is if you have a parent and they have one child, two children, three children, etc., and are using a mobility device like a wheelchair or crutches or a walker or have a service animal, having to cross a busy two-way road presents a danger to our children. And our first and primary responsibility is making sure that the children that use this playground are safe and have a safe outlet. That's our number one priority, is making sure that a child that has for their entire life been told that they can't even play in a playground, that they can't even swing in a swing, that they're no longer pushed to the back like third-class citizens. We want to make sure that every child is important in this community, regardless of their background. So we want to make it one way for safety. We're afraid that even if the town of Caryville goes in and paves that and puts a crosswalk up and flashing lights, we're concerned about the two-way traffic. So that's our number one concern. We're also concerned about cost. We have fundraised a significant amount of money. Caryville has chipped in about 10% of the total project cost, which we certainly appreciate. We're concerned about the cost there. We're not prepared as a nonprofit organization to bear the cost of that. And if the town of Caryville wants to go in and properly pave that and take away the opportunity for future expansion there and put a crosswalk in with flashing lights, are we going to be satisfied with that? Is that our ideal? No, but we'll be thankful for it. But as I see it, those are really the two options. You're talking to tens of thousands of your all's taxpayer dollars. I don't pay taxes in Caryville unless I eat here or have a hotel room here, right? But we're talking tens of thousands of dollars of your taxpayer money that's going to go in to make that parking lot. And in addition, people are very concerned, from what I can tell, it may add 30 seconds onto somebody's commute if this road is made a one-way road. To me, that you're going to have a slight delay no matter if a parent's walking across the street carrying, all types of mobility equipment, or if that's made a one-way. There is going to be a slight inconvenience to some of the houses there. I acknowledge that, but the time for these concerns was 3 years ago. We would have loved to have heard them. We're super accessible. We have a website. We have social media. We post in the newspaper. We want to hear input. What I would have given 3 years ago for some of the folks in this room to have been with us on day one, to have been showing up to our fundraisers, to helping us change Caryville for the better, I would have loved nothing more than to work with the men and women in this room, to work with the churches represented. We were never given that opportunity. So I hope that we can work going forward together. I hope that we can be hand in hand and join together and work civilly and respect one another. That's my goal. And Mayor, if it's okay, I'd be glad if anybody has any questions about the park to take a moment to answer those, if that's okay with you all.
You might as well go ahead. You don't number
Does
one
any-
on the agenda anyway, go ahead and do it now.
If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those in a respectful way. Yes, ma'am.
So if it's going to be a one-way, are you saying that the people can just park on the side of the road and then go to the park?
Great question. What our vision is that road, which is currently School Hill Road, somebody earlier said, well, everybody knows that's School Hill Road. But actually, when we talked to the Planning Commission, nobody on the entire Planning Commission even knew the name of the road. And so not a single person on the city of, or town of Caryville's Planning Commission even knew that was the name of it. And it has 3 names. In fact, Google doesn't even have it labeled as School Hill Road. But to answer your question directly, what we want is going from Shoney's to the top of the hill. We would like to make that right-hand lane the flow of traffic lane. The existing left-hand lane, we would like to make that handicap accessible parking, as well as some parking spaces that just are standard parking spaces. That way, if a parent's getting out of the vehicle, they've got plenty of space, they don't have to cross a busy intersection, they can go right into the entrance of the playground. So that's what we would want in an ideal world. Now again, the alternative option that I see is paving that across the road. But that would be our first goal, but if not, of course, the second goal would be great for the children as well.
Does the city own that over there, the pavement?
Well, kind of. The town of Caryville has a small chunk, TVA has a different chunk, and then a private investor has a different chunk. So there is a way that could be paved, but again, your real concern there is immense cost. And then also, you're really stifling something else going there. There's been talk over the years of all kinds of stuff going there. I would love to see that be something more than a parking lot, to add more to this town of Caryville. And, this is just not for the children of Caryville. This is for children not just in our community, but ladies and gentlemen, you have to think about how many people are going to get off the interstate just to visit this inclusive playground.
Now, what about the helipad? Because they land Lifestar right there.
They do typically land Lifestar in that portion.
Will they be switching that? Or
I don't. That would be one concern with a parking lot being there.
They have been landing up to the top.
Yeah, I think they've been landing on that top portion that's privately owned. So, thank you for the question.
They got great pilots too.
Brandon?
Yes, sir.
Eric, you got a question?
You said vision versus plan.
Yes.
Do you have anything planned, do you have anything that we can show the people on a map that says, here's where parking's gonna be? Have we thought about how the signage, who's paying for the signage, who's paying for the parking, who's paying for the street to be painted, the markings, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, great.
If you do that.
Great question.
Because I see on both sides of them. But why was there not parking planned with the park? Y'all have done a great thing.
This has always been the plan.
Okay, well then, can you show the people here where the parking's gonna be if we voted to change it to the one-way? Do you have a plan, do you have anything drawn up that shows these people, and myself included, here's Okay, we're gonna start construction tomorrow. We're gonna go out here and tell a construction company, just make me some parking and make this a one-way street. How are we gonna do
Well,
that?
thankfully, all that we have to do, Mr. Jones, is stripe that left lane to the standard width of what would be handicap spacing. There are some spots there that make natural sense to have regular parking. We don't have it drawn up. We've always presented to the Board of Aldermen that our intent is to have that as parking.
So then you would have the people leaving the handicap parking spots backing out into a one-way street, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, they would back up just like you do at Walmart and,
But it's a one-way street, not a private parking spot, or parking lot. But you have no plans, who's gonna, my question is, is the Lions Club paying for this?
so Caryville Cares does have some extra money in the budget to have that striped. Yes, sir. So
The paving and.
there will be
marking?
no paving needed. That's the great thing about this is the existing infrastructure, though it's not the best paved road, it will be good enough and safe enough and secure enough to be able to stripe that. And we do have the ability to eat that cost. You asked about signage. Signage is in our budget. While we have fundraised enough money to pay for things like the park, we are still actively fundraising. We got a fundraiser coming up the 22nd to pay for some more incidentals like signage, but you know,
Because a minute ago you said the city would pay for the signage and the paving.
if you all added a parking lot across the street, yes.
Do we have any plans? How wide's the road? How wide's the parking spot? That's my concern. Is you're looking at taking the road, making this a one-way street from these people. We can't just go in there and half and put in some parking spots and cut the road in half. And now they've got a one-way street with people backing out at the park. Why can we not have a plan? Why do we not have an architect or someone involved who says, you can't do this, or you can do this, or we need option A and option B? We don't have that. You're not here tonight to present anybody with that, and we're not accomplishing anything, in my opinion.
Well, Mr. Jones, we presented this to this Board of Aldermen.
We have never seen a plan that says what you're doing. And I've talked to everybody here, and I've talked to people on the planning commission, and nobody says that from the get-go, we was gonna make this a street. We had one of your members last month to say that you was coming this month about closing the street down. And I think that's probably what some of it got started. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So, but my thing is, if we're gonna take the street from, I'm 110% for the park. But I'm also 110% for people who live here.
Agreed.
And I think that there's no plan, anywhere you go, any community in the world that you go,
Mr. Jones, you've never asked for any type of details, and you've been on this Board of Aldermen
I
for
was gonna
years.
say, when we've sat here all these years and talked about this park, where did you think the people were gonna park at? Nobody's
You know
ever
what?
asked until today.
I
I mean,
haven't
did
trusted.
everybody just assume they were gonna fly in there and play? I mean, where did we think everybody was parking? It's been discussed.
I hadn't trusted that was part of the planning. You know, if you go anywhere and plan a park or plan anything, this stuff is already put in place.
So we voted on stuff for the past 3 years for this park. And now that everything's over here and we're building a park, all of a sudden it's an issue. But when every meeting, you can go back and look at minutes, every time we voted on anything that has to do with this park, not one person has said, where are we gonna park at? What are you gonna put here?
I'm
What
not
are
an
you gonna put
engineer.
there?
I didn't vote to plan the
Mr.
park
Jones,
out.
there's-
Oh, just a moment.
There's other people in Caryville that do support the standing plan though. I wanna make that clear, because you said you're with
Just a
the
second.
city of, well, I'm just making it clear, there's other
I
people
voted-
where that.
I voted to help fund the park to get a park. I'm not an engineer. I didn't vote for the plans of parking and stuff like that. And that's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I don't believe there's any need for an architect to come in.
Let me ask you
Yes,
this.
sir.
If the road was voted to be made a one-way street,
Yes, sir.
who do you have that's qualified to go over and shut the road down and mark it, make it safe and secure, and it be a perfect world? Who do you have to do that?
Well, the action plan forward would be, we would work with our contractors to have that striped. I would imagine the town of Caryville probably has a one-way parking sign. If not, we can certainly get one. And then with that being a one-way road, the great officers of the town of Caryville would be the ones to enforce that, just like any other road regulations.
So you're asking us just to make it, basically, it's gonna probably come, to make it a one-way street, and let's just let whoever go over there and stripe it off and make it safe. That, to me, that's not
Well, it
gonna
wouldn't be
work.
whoever, sir, just like it's not whoever doing the current work. But this has been the very first time I came to this Board of Aldermen and we presented the plan. It was asked back then about parking. And I said, the parking plan would be to make that road one way and allow for parking on the left side of the road. That has been the plan since day one. That's the plans that this Board of Aldermen, with the exception of Alderman Monday, voted unanimously in favor for. And if you don't believe that, you're welcome to ask some of your other alderman members, because they're well aware of what those plans included.
I just want to make it clear, I wasn't here.
Yeah, I said Alderman Monday, but
I just wondered if there was something showing, so that we would know what we were looking at, if it was shown, if.
I mean, we could certainly have that drawn for the Board of Aldermen, but the process is incredibly simple. All we have to do is, again, the contractor comes in, stripes that in accordance with how you have.
Still, I know our building inspector and our codes person would still want some detailed plans like everything.
Yeah, and that's not a problem.
Our attorney's back here. Adam, is it as simple to shut the road down and put striping on it and make it all kosher?
Well, I don't know. I mean, nothing's been voted on, first of all. I mean, there's certainly a process to do that. What that process is, I don't know right now. I mean, I can certainly find out. But I don't know. We may have to reach out to the state and see what they say exactly, but,
Would you
I
agree that it
don't
would
see it
be?
being a huge issue.
And I will share that Mr. Rockwell, your all's town planner, is in favor of this as well. And I'll also share that he's been well aware of it since day one as well.
I'd just like to see a plan that says,
Yeah.
you know, here's the park, here's the
And
park, here's how it.
Once you all vote, to go ahead and do this plan that's been in place for 3 years, we can provide you with copies and work with your codes enforcement officer to make sure that the municipality is satisfied.
Well, I think if everybody would rather see the plan beforehand.
Well, Mayor, with all due
Well, I'm
respect,
talking about as far as the parking and stuff, okay?
just,
That's what I'm asking.
is the town willing in a week or 2 weeks to call a special called meeting? And is the town, if they vote it down, willing to pay for the architecture fees to have this developed? Because we don't want to spend community money without a guarantee that you all are willing to do it. And then also, we're looking for hopefully a May, I'm hoping, first week of May, where kids are playing on it.
Okay. Mr.
Mayor,
Smith?
appreciate the opportunity. Some of you don't know me, Eric Smith. I sat in Josh's seat for about 8 years. Left out in November, so 6 months. It's amazing how people forget me, I guess, sometimes. Being human, our minds are short. The question on parking was asked. Mr. Peebley and myself and you stood right about the corner where he was at and discussed the parking when this all started. And the original concept of parking was to be put into the ball field with Caryville owns the pie piece and